video.
If you want a movie about an adorable and delightful alien creature who forges a concrete bond with a little boy, the kind of bond that can overcome virtually anything and proves that friendship is truly a radical and universal concept, then you want E.T. Today, I'm talking about Mac and Me. Mac and Me is the kind of movie that happens when a producer comes up with a half-baked idea, most likely dreamed up during a drug-induced stupor, who hires a journeyman writer and director who took the paycheck and ran. And it somehow got major backing from companies like McDonald's, Coca-Cola, and Skittles. And as such feels like one big drug-induced commercial for McDonald's, Coca-Cola, and Skittles. Ah, the 80s. If you were a video store kid in the late 1980s, then I'm sure Mac and Me caught your eye. If you were like me, then you rented it, at least a couple of times, but most likely had forgotten completely about it over the ensuing decades. Thanks in large part to Paul Rudd and Conan O'Brien's long-running joke of showing a clip from the movie whenever Rudd would appear on O'Brien's late-night talk show, the Mac and Me revival began. For me, it was a reminder of how wacky the movie was. For those who had never heard of Mac and Me, which was the vast majority of people, it became a bizarre curiosity. Either way, Mac and Me became a cult movie, and thanks to Vinegar Syndrome, of course it was Vinegar Syndrome, the movie and its fans have been blessed with this beautiful new release. But before we dive into this beauty, let's talk about the movie itself, and I hardly know where to begin, so why not at the beginning? The movie opens with Mac. Mac stands for mysterious alien creature, by the way. So clever. Mac and his mother, father, and sister are minding their own business, sticking straws into the rocky surface of their home planet and drinking whatever fluid comes out when a NASA rover touches down and eventually sucks them up inside. They're taken to Earth, set free by some egghead scientists, and are soon wandering free because, despite this being a seemingly high-level government facility, it has extremely shoddy security. Seriously, I get hassled more leaving Walmart. And despite them being a potentially dangerous and/or diseased alien race, they're allowed to wander free throughout the first 2 acts of the movie. Enter the Cruzes, Eric and his mother and brother, who have just moved out to California from Illinois. After being responsible for a horrible multi-car pileup where miraculously no one was injured, Mac finds his way into the Cruzes family van. Once home, Mac creates complete chaos. At one point, he's drilling holes in the wall with a huge drill. Then he's taking a circular saw to the front door, both being obvious homages to the Slumber Party Massacre and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, of course. Eventually, Eric decides to trap Mac. And what does he use for bait? Coca-Cola Classic, which is not only used as a refreshing beverage throughout the movie, but as a kind of life-giving elixir. In fact, after being reunited with his family, we discover that Mac's folks are, well, dead. But what revives them? The smooth, sweet, all-American flavor of Coca-Cola Classic. And I'm pretty sure that the people making this movie were on a different kind of Coke at the time. Anyway, the plot revolves around the hijinks that Mac and Eric get into while trying to reunite Mac with his family. At the same time, government agents are on their trail who want to catch and most likely subject little Mac to all sorts of cruel experiments and so forth. Along the way, Mac captures the hearts of Eric's family and 2 sisters living next door who accompany them on the journey. And it's also delightfully strange. One of the strangest and most out-of-place sequences in the movie finds Mac and Eric attending a birthday party at McDonald's that turns into a full-blown episode of Dance Party USA. And not just inside the restaurant, but out in the parking lot too, and it includes football players in full gear, spandex-clad women, Ronald McDonald himself, and Mac on the counter in a teddy bear costume, getting down like James Brown. And this goes on for a really long time. In fact, it feels like the movie comes to a complete stop and a music video for McDonald's is inserted. A really bizarre music video for McDonald's. When it comes to the cast of Mac and Me, it's actually pretty solid. First-timer Jade Caligari plays young Eric, and kudos to director Stuart Raffiel for casting Jade. The role asked for a young man in a wheelchair, and the producer insisted on casting someone who was actually in a wheelchair. Despite it being his first film, Caligari was a natural. Jonathan Ward delivers a strong performance as Eric's loving brother Michael, and veteran actress Christine Ebersol is great as their mother. She's actually the most sympathetic character in the movie. Single mom, raising 2 sons, one of which is disabled, new town, new job, and now her son is on the lam with an alien creature who's being hunted by the government, all within the span of a couple of days. Forget a Coke. Get this poor lady a Valium. And speaking of the alien, Mac, just look at this adorable little guy. How could you not love him? Look at those big soulful eyes, the round cheeks, the horn-like nodules on his head, the bat-like ears in his mouth formed in a perpetual expression of surprise. Come to think of it, he looks like a kid with a peanut allergy who couldn't resist the allure of a Reese's cup. I like the design of Mac and his entire family. The alien costumes look both cute and creepy as hell, and the performers in the costumes do a great job, though I can't not see the dad alien and immediately not think of the Tar Man from Return of the Living Dead. They both move almost exactly the same. In fact, I was surprised to find that it wasn't Alan Troutman inside the suit. George Buckflower and Andrew Divoff have small roles as well, and Martin Becker, who worked on several Friday the 13th, a couple of Nightmare on Elm Streets, April Fool's Day, and another certified classic, Suburban Commando, provides the special effects. And R.I.P. Hulk Hogan. Rest easy, brother. And if you want a good laugh, go read the trivia section for Mac and Me on IMDb. Steven Spielberg was once asked why he didn't sue the producers of Mac and Me for ripping off E.T., to which he responded that he didn't want to have to force somebody to sit through Mac and Me in order to compare it to E.T. Au contraire, Steven. You just didn't want anyone to realize that Mac and Me is in actuality the far superior movie. But whatever helps you sleep at night. Mac and Me actually has a surprising amount of action sequences for being a family movie. The climax involves a huge explosion that would have either saw one character accidentally shot dead or being killed in the explosion. If you've seen any clips online, then you most likely know what I'm talking about. And I was surprised that that shot had been omitted from this release. But thanks to my pal Garrett from Born to be Rad, he checked the Shot Factory release from a few years ago, and that shot's not in that release either. So I'm guessing that that shot wasn't in the theatrical release or the home video. I guess I remember more about the movie from the clips I've seen online than from the actual movie itself. Granted, it has been a few decades since I last saw it in its entirety. And though this may be a spoiler, although how can you spoil a movie that's almost 40 years old? Anyway, the movie concludes with Mac and his family being sworn in as American citizens. If this scene doesn't warm your heart, put a smile on your face, and potentially a tear in your eye, then you are dead inside. They then drive off into the sunset in a pink Cadillac, and we're left with this little tease. Mac and Me is back all right, only not in the form of a sequel, but in the form of this limited edition deluxe 4K and Blu-ray release from Vinegar Syndrome. Mac and Me is a strange, strange movie, born from the simple desire to rip off E.T. But Mac and Me is more than just a ripoff. It's a time capsule of the 1980s, and a trip, not just down memory lane for a lot of us, but a trip, as in, it's out there, way out there. I also want to mention the score from Alan Silvestri. It has to be one of the most sugary sweet and whimsical scores I've ever heard. It feels both out of place and at the same time perfect for this movie. I can't say that Mac and Me is a good movie. However, I will say that it's a movie that I dare anyone not to watch and have a fun time with. Somewhere amidst all the product placement and the moments that'll have you either shaking your head in disbelief or cracking up at just how wacky it is, there's some real heart. It'll also leave you really wanting a Big Mac and a Coke. When it comes to this new limited edition deluxe release from Vinegar Syndrome, first let's take a look at the release itself. This release comes inside a magnet box similar to VS's Beastmaster Deluxe release, with artwork designed by J.J. Harrison. We get a high-quality slipcase, which also includes artwork designed by Mr. Harrison. The sleeve is reversible, featuring original and newly commissioned artwork. This is a 2-disc set. Disc 1 is the 4K, Disc 2 is the Blu-ray. And we get a 40-page perfect bound book featuring essays by Simon Abrams, Justin LaLiberty, and Austin Trunick. And in case anyone was wondering, this release is limited to 10,000 units. This presentation of Mac and Me is presented in Dolby Vision HDR and is newly scanned and restored from its 35mm original camera negative. The image quality here is vibrant, it's full of detail and depth with vivid colors, and overall it just looks great. The audio quality on this release is clear, clean, full-bodied, and pretty rockin'. Overall, I'd give both the image quality and the sound quality on this release a 4.5 out of 5. When it comes to extras, first up we have Strange Adventures, a new interview with co-writer and director Stuart Raffill. It's 12 minutes and 26 seconds in length. Mr. Raffill discusses how he got into show business, first as an animal wrangler. He discusses the genesis of Mac and Me, the producer's desire to make an alien action movie for kids. He discusses the cast, how fearless Jade Caligari was working with the puppets and the puppeteers, and how time-consuming that was. He discusses the product placement in the movie, and more. Next we have Balance, a new featurette with cinematographer Nick McLean and camera operator Michael D. O'Shea. It's 16 minutes and 31 seconds in length. They both discuss how they came to work on Mac and Me, working with each other and working with the director, shooting the dance scene in McDonald's, shooting the stunts like the kid going off the cliff, the big explosion at the supermarket, how proud they are of their work on Mac and Me, and more. Next, we have Alien Puppeteer, a new interview with alien designer and puppeteer Christopher Swift. It's 8 minutes and 46 seconds in length. Mr. Swift discusses the Paul Rudd, Conan O'Brien connection to Mac and Me, and talking about it with Rudd while they were working together on Ant-Man. He discusses casting and creating the alien suits, sculpting the Mac puppet, the movie's cult status, what a great experience Mac and Me was, and more. Next, we have Down Memory Lane, a new interview with actress Christine Ebersol. It's 16 minutes and 29 seconds in length. Ms. Ebersol discusses getting cast in Mac and Me, what appealed to her about the role. She shares fond memories of working with her young co-stars. She discusses the Paul Rudd, Conan O'Brien thing, the film's cult status, its resurgence, how frustrated she was with all the product placement in the movie, and more. Next, we have Down to Earth, an archival interview with songwriter Allie Willis. It's 4 minutes and 13 seconds in length. Miss Willis discusses the prestigious projects she'd worked on and songs she'd written in the past, and then sighs heavily when she brings up Mac and Me. She discusses the bizarre writing and recording of Down to Earth, and more. We get the alternate climactic shooting sequence, which is sourced from video. We get an image gallery, a theatrical trailer, the video trailer, and TV spots, and we get 2 audio commentaries, the first with Stuart Raffill and Jim Branscombe of Cinematic Void, and the second with film historians Wayne Byrne and Paul Farron. This release for Mac and Me from Vinegar Syndrome is definitely out of this world. Let me know your thoughts on Mac and Me down in the comments section below. If you liked this video, please leave it a thumbs up and share it on social media. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care, and until next time, peace. Man, I need a Coke. A huge thank you to all my patrons and channel members for your generosity and support. Become a patron today and get early access to videos, have a say in what content appears on my channel, join me for monthly live streams, exclusive watch parties, and more. Become a channel member today and get access to exclusive badges and emotes to use when I stream, as well as members-only watch parties. Both those links are in the description. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.